What patch notes? Yes. So this is the experimental build 88034, aka Season 4 experimental patch 2. Which is what we're going through today. Now, I might have said in the last one I'm only going to do these if they're worth doing, and luckily this one is, but I get this weird feeling that they're probably all going to be worth doing. The only time it's not going to be worth covering things is probably post-launch patches where there'll be really minor bug fixes, except sometimes there won't be. Small Meteor comes to mind. The experimental branch, I feel so far they've all been worth covering. Like this one is much so definitely worth covering, almost just as much as the previous one, for the same reasons, by the way. But it's also because most people know even less about what happens in experimental, so these changes will go even more under people's radar. So I definitely feel I don't feel like I'm some kind of savior, but I do feel a certain responsibility to tell people this stuff. I definitely don't think better of myself for doing it, though. Anyway, let's get to it. Obviously, the best stuff will be last, because that's just how it goes, but we've got some basic fixes, such as collision on the spreader, and the fact that it takes full damage from the front being fixed. I always got the feeling it was meant to be more tanky from the front anyway. Something about forgot to change back the neurotoxin effect chance. Is that just them saying that they forgot to do something? I don't know. Reduced chance of random Rockpox waves. Now, which is inherently disappointing, but maybe they were too common. I don't know. That's perfectly possible. And I assume they still have a higher chance to spawn on Lithophage Outbreak anyway. Even though they don't have to, because you can just still experience Rockpox enemies by playing that mission no matter what. Fixed a part of the Septic Spitter to use armor physics material. I guess that's good. Fixed broken ammo count on Engineer's Sentry Gun. I don't know if that's a thing that we have already. I'm not sure. Fixed simple armor still being breakable when it shouldn't be, like when frozen. That's good. You shouldn't be able to break armor while enemies are frozen. Fixed retrievable bolts despawning too quickly. Do they despawn? Shouldn't. Fixed lemon clean text. Great. Made the Praetorian spit particles better match the attack hitbox. I actually didn't notice that when I first read these. That's really, really good. Anyway. Fixed added Rockpox infected weapons in Space Rig instead of mil-spec. That's very good. I mean, that's first of all, that takes the actual season framework and puts it into Space Rig like it should be, and it also better represents the Space Rig getting more infected, so that's nice. Fixed a case where trap attack to spikes invisible for client. Great. So we've got some Rockpox changes. New ground damage effect for Rockpox areas made by Corruptor. I don't know if that's visual or not. I know people were complaining about that being probably the bit too strong when it comes to the Corruptor. The only part of it that was too deadly. So I don't know what that quite means. But also active Corruptor Rockpox areas will be destroyed when the Corruptor dies. That's good. I thought they had already done that though, but still good. The crash when foaming it that they're trying to fix, but you probably shouldn't foam the dying Corruptor anyway. But no, it shouldn't crash again though. Rockpox enemies now die when all infection boils are popped, no matter how much health they have remaining. I assume this happened with. That's interesting. I feel like maybe that has happened to me before, but I'm wondering if that's specifically something to do with the new Rockpox enemies. Either way, I think that's good. That you can send these enemies, there is a way to kill them without necessarily depleting all their health. I mean, it always felt like that. It felt like that anyway. It never felt like attacking their main health pool was the way to kill them. It was just like, you just got to pop the distance. That's how you kill them. No other way of doing it, really. Obviously, you can through brute force, but it's really not ill-advised, maybe I should say. Some Stingtail and Septic Spreader stuff. They updated the weak point glow. It can now sense players from much further away. Added heavier stun slowdown and slightly longer duration to Stingtail grab. It now checks line of sight from the tip of its tail instead of from its face. So they made it even stronger. I wonder if people are going to complain about it being really strong. I mean, they definitely wanted it to be stronger, so it's good that it's getting that. Spreader, I wouldn't inherently call this a buff or a nerf. They fixed the puddles having dead zones that deal no damage, which is good. It should work. Fixed the death pools doing far lower damage than its primary attack does. Fixed that it has arm and weak point scaling while frozen. Good. Fixed bug where if you got hit by projectile and didn't touch the puddle it creates, the effect became permanent. Okay, so that's a bit of a nerf, but it's also that was a bug, I suppose. But doesn't the effect being permanent mean you just die over and over again? Or at least it would just kill you. Maybe it goes away when you went down, but either way. Anyway, onto the weapon balancing stuff, because there's more of that. 2 overclocks got touched that hadn't been in the last one, and one of them's a nerf, but the first one is not a nerf, and they're both for the Thunderhead. We've got Carpet Bomber. Carpet Bomber got big buff. Changed the explosion radius from a flat to a percentage to significantly expand it when taken together with the AoE range upgrade. That's good. It means you can double down, and it's actually it pays off. Change the damage bonus from a flat number to a percentage for an increased maximum when taken together with the AoE damage upgrade. So both you can double down and it will pay off. Big AoE radius and damage. That's all it needed. Carpet Bomber just needed to be stronger. I would still potentially make the argument for like a flak cannon effect where it would explode in radius of flying enemies to make that stuff easier, but that might be pretty overpowered, especially against shockers. So maybe this is all it needed. And maybe the Thunderhead doesn't need to be good against Mactera. Maybe that's what your secondary's for. But we do have the Neurotoxin nerf. It finally happened, guys. Time to put it away. So, and it is what I thought it should be, basically, as well. So they reduced the AoE size bonus, added an ammo penalty, we don't know how much, someone will tell us, I'm sure, removed the direct damage penalty, and increased the AoE damage penalty slightly. So, it's less of a splash thing now. It's you have less ammo to work with, but also you have much less AoE damage and a smaller AoE radius even. Although there still has an AoE size bonus, it's just not as much anymore. But they also removed the direct damage penalties. The ammo penalty is the main thing here, but it's sort of it might transform into what I always saw it as maybe it should be, which is where you shouldn't necessarily be able to just paint hordes with Neurotoxin. You should also have to focus and inflict it on each enemy one at a time, which this won't change that completely, but hopefully it means you need to be a bit more deliberate with Neurotoxin. The fact that it was so strong and you could be so liberal with how you used it was where what made it boring, really, and overpowered. This might change that, maybe. Either way, the Neurotoxin nerf happened, and we'll see the effects of that. People will probably complain just because it's not as OP as it used to be, but I think Ghost Ship should not necessarily double down, but be aware that people are going to complain because they like the fact that it was overpowered, right? It was also inevitable. Like, guys, come on. I am kind of against overpowered things getting nerfed in general, but I'm not going to cry out against it because I know that balancing is still important. I think fun comes before balancing, but Neurotoxin wasn't fun. So this change was always inevitable. And everyone was surprised that it didn't happen in the last patch. Or, many patches and updates before then even. Double Barrel got touched again. They actually did what I said to do, not taking credit though, obviously, because we're not supposed to do that. They further increased the blast wave damage and added a shot spread penalty because it's now a balanced overclock. They might as well change the name at this point. I mean, come on. Just change the name. Now, what I wonder now that they've increased the blast wave damage again, can you one-shot or one-trigger pull grunts without taking the blast wave damage upgrade? Because that's the only thing that would make this significant, to be honest. Because obviously, I think about it, it's still not going to be good against swarmers because you have to unload both barrels at once. It's just so excessive against swarmers. The blast wave can do that already. I wish we got a blast wave radius increase. That would be really nice. But either way, they changed it to a balance, which means Boomstick now has another balanced overclock. It's no longer a ridiculously terrible overclock selection because there's 4 cleans and one of them is ass. The one that is ass is now not ass and is a balanced now. So good changes all around. Hurricane plasma burst missiles got buffed. Obviously we had it fixed last patch, so now it will actually ignore terrain. It won't actually collide with terrain when you're actually focusing on an enemy. But they actually just increased the number of hits it can deliver before expiring. It's stronger now. It's just stronger. It's probably going to be amazing. Hopefully it's returned to that state it was in experimental. Although I guess not as overpowered. We don't want it to be overpowered. But the reason I won't be too worried about that is because Hurricane or Plasma Buster Missiles is something that went from being overpowered to being nerfed into the ground. It's not going to get nerfed into the ground again. They might have to adjust it still, but it's never going to get a significant nerf again because of what happened the last time they did that. So I won't be too worried about that. But that is everything in the patch. Obviously, this guy's very happy about Neurotoxin payload nerf. I'm definitely not. I think maybe I am happy about it. I don't know. It was probably necessary, and I'm just going to very, very easily assume that there hasn't been another one since then, because obviously not. But yeah, that's the entire patch. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like, subscribe. I mean, I imagine a lot of people have seen the previous one because of how well that video's done. Maybe this can do the same. But I will continue to cover experimental build patches, and I will definitely cover any significant patches post-launch as well. Even if they're not significant, I'll do a roundup every time like once we get to the Season 4 launch. If the next few patches are just bug fixes, I won't cover them. But when the next patch comes around that actually adds something significant, I'll do a roundup of all the previous ones anyway. So you'll always be informed on. Maybe I might even just do a video every 3 patches anyway. So if you stayed in tune, if you tune into us, then you'll get all the information that you need, all Deep Rock news, all Deep Rock patches, and all that kind of stuff. You won't miss out. Don't worry. I don't know if anyone's actually mentioned this yet. Okay, people suggest stuff all the time. Sorry, this isn't supposed to be a Reddit video. Anyway. Go back to Steam. Yeah, anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys.